Women's involvement in the political life contributes to gender equality and to a wide range of views that result in informed, balanced, and comprehensive decisions. The gender of legislators distinct impact on their political priorities, making it crucial that women are present in political life to represent the concerns of women, marginalized groups and communities, to improve the responsiveness of social policy, development, and governance. Women and men have the right to equal civil and political rights, as enshrined in the Constitution of Zimbabwe, as well as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other regional commitments such as the Maputo Protocol of 2005 and the Southern African Development Community SADC Protocol on Gender and Development of 2008. And it is essential that these rights are translated into tangible actions that foster equal representation and participation in politics. It is therefore imperative to recognize the immense value and unique perspectives that women bring to the table and ensure that their voices are not only heard, but are actively involved in shaping the current and the future of Zimbabwe. So as Tanaka has alluded to the fact that this year's statistics, they show that we have 11% for the House of Assembly. That is 70 out of the 637 women candidates nominated for the National Assembly direct election. And we only have one female candidate for presidency, as compared to the last election, that was 2018, where we had about 14.4% of female candidates for National Assembly and 4 female presidential candidates. This is retrogressive in attaining gender equality. It leaves women on the margins of decision-making, which is also detrimental to democracy and the reduction of the pervasive gender inequality gap. It also means women's concerns and perspectives in issues of opportunities, public resource management, and service delivery will not be prioritized. I'm sure we can all agree that most of the challenges that Zimbabwe faces, actually any society faces, we're a face of a woman. Even if we look at the Sustainable Development Goals, issues around zero poverty, issues around climate change, issues around health and well-being, issues around inequality are issues that actually affect women more. Hence, it's important to ensure that we have women participating in politics so that they can shape agendas that are gender responsive and that are going to respond to the needs of each and every woman in their diversity. So pursuing diversity as an end goal rather than as a means to achieve better results runs the risk of tokenism. Therefore, it is imperative that true inclusivity be sought by actively engaging and opening fair leadership opportunities for women. This is because the underrepresentation of women hampers the development of inclusive policies and inhibits the full realization of women's rights and interests. There are several underlying factors that contribute to the low political participation of women in Zimbabwe. These include cultural and societal norms, limited access to education, socio-economic disparities, the structural barriers within political parties, and steep nomination fees. To address these challenges, a comprehensive approach involving multiple stakeholders is required. That includes political parties, that includes civil society, and the government. So having flagged out the challenges that women are facing in terms of political participation in Zimbabwe, here are the recommendations, or some of the recommendations that we've come up with as well. So one of the most important one is ensuring that there is a creation of an enabling environment. This means establishing policies and mechanisms that promote and protect women's political rights, including affirmative action, measures such as quotas and reserved seats for women in decision-making bodies. The second one is raising awareness and challenging stereotypes. This will ensure that this actually entails us implementing targeted awareness campaigns to challenge traditional gender roles and stereotypes that hinder women's political participation. Education and sensitization efforts should be aimed at both women and men to foster a culture of gender equality. I'm sure we'll all agree that gender is not only talking about women, but we also need to ensure that whilst we talk about gender, in its inclusive form, we push forward the agenda of ensuring that there's maximum participation of women, as we have alluded, that they face most of the challenges when it comes to the economy and socially. The other recommendation is to ensure that we strengthen support networks. This means providing training, mentorship, and networking opportunities to enhance the leadership skills of women aspiring to engage in politics. Encourage establishment of women's caucuses within political parties to facilitate collaboration and support. At some point in time, there's been argument that should we vote for women because they are women or because they've got the capacities? So in order for us to ensure that we also capacitate women, we should be able to avail opportunities for them to have their capacities development. Because we are women, we are not saying that we want handouts, we want free things, we want things that we do not have merit for. We also need to ensure that there's equal access to resources. This entails eliminating financial and logistical barriers that hinder women from participating in political activities. Nomination fees should not be prohibitive, but must be reasonable enough to allow women with political aspirations to run for office and defend their priorities. Further, there should be the removal of hurdles in payment processes. For example, we have the cases of President Elizabeth Valerio, who actually faced challenges with the payment processes. And at some point, if she had not raised the issue with the court, we wouldn't be having her on the ballot. And lastly, I think, not really lastly, but one of the most important things in ensuring that women participate in political spaces is engaging men as allies. I know at some point in time there are issues around women empowerment and the negativity or toxic comments that come from them, that women do not need men. We actually need men to support the agenda of putting women in political and leadership positions. Also, we need to ensure that we strengthen data collection and monitoring. This means enhancing the collection and analysis of gender disaggregated data to track progress and inform evidence-based policies and interventions. Regular monitoring and evaluation should be conducted to assess the effectiveness of initiatives aimed at increasing women's political participation. And as I close, it is important that all stakeholders commit to long-term and concerted efforts to address the low political participation of women in Zimbabwe by harnessing the collective potential of women and men alike. We can foster an inclusive political landscape that reflects the diversity and aspirations of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Tabi. So I'm sure if you've got questions arising from her presentation, we are going to ask once we have gone through all the other presentations. And she raised some very interesting points there, that should we vote for women because they are women, or should we vote for women because they are actually capable of holding the offices that they would have been put into power? And then she also spoke of the issue of support networks. I'm sure when we open the discussion, we would like to hear more from the women in politics present here, if they've got any support networks, mechanisms within their political parties to ensure that women who are actually participating in politics get all the support that they need. And then next we're going to have a presentation from Sam.
Good afternoon, Salbonani. Tabi has already laid the foundation for us. Remember, our topic is 10 years since the adoption of the Constitution. Female participation in election is at its lowest. What have we done wrong, and where can we improve? So when we say female participation in election is at its lowest, my question is lowest way. Because women make up the majority of registered voters. According to the ZEC statistics in March 2023, from the 5.3 million people who registered to vote, 54.5% of them are women and 45.5% are men. Women attend rallies, and I think we need to get data on how many women and men attend rallies so that we know exactly the number of women who participate in rallies, but my assumption is women are the most attendees. Women campaign on behalf of their male counterparts. I saw a picture recently on Twitter where women from CCC to put a poster. So I don't know if you guys saw that picture. So my question is, when we say women are not participating or the number is low, what are we really talking about? So I want to speak to women participating as candidates because I think that's where the issue is, if I'm correct. Are we together? Because if you're all some of us, we get nervous because we're not used to such platforms. So women are participating, but the question is, where are they participating? Are they participating as candidates, as poll observers, as polling agents? What are they participating as? And as I said, I want to address the question of why is it women are not participating as candidates. And I'll be guided by section 17, 56 and 80 of the Constitution. I think if you were listening, Limzule Utabi ekuluma ngakho anti. So these sections, they speak on the full participation of women in all spheres of the Zimbabwean society on the basis of equality with men. So when we talk about equality, we are speaking of 50-50. So the question that I always ask myself, have we achieved the 50-50? The answer is a definite no. Do we have more women participating as candidates in 2023? The answer is no. So the number of women contesting in these elections has dropped drastically from 2013 when we introduced the Constitution. As Tabi said, we have one woman contesting for the presidential seat out of 11 candidates. And then for the National Assembly, we have only 70 women contesting out of 637. But in 2018, we had 237 women out of 1,648. And please be mindful that with these candidates, we might have a lower number after the announcement of results, because where women are contesting in 2023, Abala base, they don't have, they're not strong candidates. So we might have a lower number compared to what we have right now. So what have we done wrong? And please, when I say this, I'm speaking as a feminist and as an activist, but I want you guys to really hear me well, because but we have failed to address the issue of patriarchy. So I know that this is a sensitive word and a sensitive issue. It's about defensive. But as long as we don't address the system that we are in as a society in Zimbabwe, then we'll never deal with it. We'll always come and have these conversations every year, every election cycle, and we'll not confront the roots. So let's confront the roots. And the system is patriarchal. So when we talk about patriarchy, we mean the rule of the father. The father rules the house. So patriarchy is a social system where men control a disproportionately large share of social, economic, political, and religious power. Right? So the principles of patriarchy are very embedded in our social fabric. It is in our family setup. If you know that girls and boys are given leadership roles. So we have a problem already from our home setup. So we can't expect to see women leading, or we can't expect to see Mama Sebe contest as presidential candidates when already, when they're socialized, they're told they have to focus on ukupega, So if we don't address that in our family setup, we will never, no matter how much we capacitate women, no matter how much we hold these dialogues, we will never see a change in the representation of women. As I said, that girls are relegated to lower positions. Girls are socialized to believe that they are not fit to be included in decision-making processes. And then we see it even in the church setup. We are a religious community, and I believe the statistics in Zimbabwe say that 80% of our society are Christians. So if you go to ama churches, what do they say about women who speak, who are feminists? So if the church that really teaches us our identity and everything. Nxa ukuthi wena hlala phansi ungakhulumi samkeliso umfazi ukuze athathwe mele umfazi ongakhulumiyo, and then you expect to see women taking leadership positions, then you expect women as candidates. It will never happen. So we have to deal with our church setup. We have to deal with the narratives that are pushed in the church setup. To mama abakhulumi. As you can see, how many women are allowed, especially in certain religious sects, ukuthi bebe ngama bishops, bebe ngama preachers. Some churches don't allow women to preach. So you can't expect those women to contest as candidates in politics. And then you see also one of the narratives that we push as a society, we say that women hate each other. Oh, women, you don't vote for each other. That's not true, because you're only addressing our lives. And I want us as a society, if we're serious about the representation of women, we have to deal with the roots. So women do not hate each other. Women support each other. But you don't see it because you are only dealing with our lives instead of confronting the roots. Why is it women are not supporting each other? Why is it women do not vote for each other? Because men are better leaders. If you talk about Twitter, sorry, my alarm is going on. When you go on Twitter or any social media platform and you advocate for women representation, the first thing that people ask for is she competent? Does she have merit? But no one says that when you talk about men. Then you realize that, there's a problem in our society. We think women are not competent enough. So if a society believes that a woman is not fit, you cannot start asking each other, why is it we have lower women contesting? When already our beliefs, even the men that say they are progressive, but they have that belief that a woman is not competent enough. And then we have to confront the institutional and systemic barriers that hinder women from participating. As I said, the overall system is a patriarchal system. As long as we don't address that, there's nothing that will happen. And then we also have to be honest when it comes to political parties in Zimbabwe. They talk about, yes, we want to see more women. There are no women. But let's look at their internal democracy. Where are the women? Because we should not be having these issues when political parties are serious. They should make sure they promote full participation of women. But they don't. If you're a woman and you're in a political party, there has to be a man who appreciates you. There has to be a man who believes, no, if we put some gay here, we're okay. But now, end of the men, I'm sorry, but also kachana even as a woman, as long as no man is pushing you. So we have to deal with that within our political parties. If they don't address that, Sizalokas Kuluma in 2028, and be like, how come women are not there? And then the other problem that we have the gender quota system. So the gender quota, I believe in the principle behind the gender quota. But what the political parties have done, the progressives, the Democrats, whatever, what they've done, they've relegated women to those to those seats. Already. So that has been a problem. That's why in Zimbabwe we failed to see the 50-50 because Lonke Hambanugu 66. And now that we have the youth quota as well, now that we have provincial council, says Pushala women and youth there. So we need to address what was the reason for having a gender quota. So if we don't address that, we have the same issue. Then this year we had exorbitant nomination fees, And how many women can afford to pay $20,000? How many women can afford to pay $1,000 to contest as an MP? There was a time when I thought of contesting, but when I think about it, 1,000 angilayo, and besides that nomination fee, there's an aspect of campaigning. Where is the money coming from? So as long as women don't have the economic power, and if you look at our society, our economic society in Zimbabwe, 80% of the informal economy is made up of women. So if that 80% informal economy, where do you think we'll get the money from? So as I said, patriarchy, which affects even the economic power. If the women don't have the economic power, there's no story. Because I can't compete, I can't contest against Effie, because Effie will have Labangan Bakebaza Chailana, but if my friends so get from economy, where would we get the money from? So as long as we don't address that, then we'll always have these conversations. So I can go on. I think Tabi mentioned the aspect of violence. Bagiti, I'm an activist. I'm very vocal when it comes to Twitter, where I talk about issues, and you see the violence that Mina Konaba, I'm not even contesting the violence that I get, you know, where what. And then you have young women that are also looking at me. Then I have me as a young person. I'm looking at people like Oma Kupeofa Zaimahere, women that are all Linda Masarira, where they're told every day, Hambekeza, Chamisa. It makes us afraid of wanting to get into political space. So the environment that we have in Zimbabwe is very toxic, is very binary, and is very violent. So if Emila Mizati, why, I'll speak for myself because I live with a mother who says, why would you want to, to contest? And there's a time when George Charamba wrote an article, my face and everything. So every time I'm like, please don't say anything, don't say anything. So can you imagine you come from a home where your mother, your father is saying, don't participate, Tulam Tanami. So as long as we don't address the violence within our society, then we'll not have more women, because Tina, as women, we have families that's where we come from, and they want us to protect them. So how do we protect our families? By not participating. So we can never see more women in politics. We can never see more women in elections as candidates, because Tina, we are voters, but as candidates, that's what we are talking about today. So where can we improve? I think for me, as long as we don't address patriarchy, the story will always be the same. So where can we address patriarchy? Can we address the beliefs and the norms and the attitudes that we have when it comes to a girl child? If we don't address that, then it's pointless. And then Mina, personally, if I had the power, I would have mobilized women to say, as long as the political party or the presidential candidate is not serious about pushing for more women in this space, then don't vote for that political party. Whether the party claims, whether the party claims that it's democratic like CCC, but as long as there are no women, let's not vote. But unfortunately, I don't have that political clout and power. But I think in the next few years, women have to mobilize themselves, because women are not victims. We are... We also have agency. So I know that women can mobilize themselves. So one day we need to be stressed and come together and mobilize ourselves and say, no voting for any candidate. We're not voting for Chamisa. We're not voting for Mnangagwa. We're not voting for ZAPU. We're not voting for any party unless and until we see 50-50. Not about talking, not about 30%, because the Constitution says 50-50. And then we need to align our laws to the provisions of the Constitution. As long as we don't align our laws, nothing will happen, And then we also need to hold the political parties where they institutionalize in 50-50 within their parties. If we don't do that, scarcity, you will not get funding, you will not get the finance for political parties as long as you don't have, if you don't have the 50-50, you're not getting the finance. We need to be strict on that as Zimbabweans. I think I can end here because it's a topic that I'm very passionate about, but I want us to be serious, because this thing of just saying every day it will not work. We need to show what we are serious so that we have more women in 2028. 2023 is lost, it's gone. We cannot do anything about it, but 2028, can we please push for more women? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Samge, for that powerful presentation. So Samge here is saying that women are there because, one, they're the majority, and they're the majority of the population, and secondly, they are the ones who attend most of these rallies, and they make up the bigger part of the voting population. And like she rightfully said, that it wouldn't be fair just to say women are not voting for other women. And they're very pertinent points that she was raising there. Very, very interesting. And next up, we're going to have a presentation from Ubabungu.
Oh, thank you very much. I am not going to make a presentation. I think it is sufficient. What has been said is comprehensive enough. Let me make an analysis of the issues that they raise by going slightly deeper into the foundations, the root causes of those things. In most cases, we usually raise issues when there is a general election, but these things will be manifesting themselves even in by-elections. For instance, in the March 26 parliamentary by-elections, only 16 female candidates participated out of 118 candidates vying for 28 seats. We said nothing about it. The local government polls at the time also saw only 76 female candidates contest against 291 males. I'm saying 76 against 291 males for 118 seats. And let's go deeper into something that is interesting. Only 5 female candidates won parliamentary seats, while 18 made it at the local government level. So I want to talk about the attrition rate. Over 90% of women candidates lose. Over 90% of women candidates lose. So as I said, I'm going to do an analysis. Instead of focusing, they've already spoken so profoundly about this subject. The reason is because the patriarchy within political parties makes it a point that women will get the seats that are hardest to win for political parties. So, for instance, if you go through the list of female candidates in this 2023 election, you will find that the easiest seats to win for ZANU-PF are male candidates. The hardest to win will be female. The same with Triple C. Let me talk about the largest of the political parties, at least by the number of candidates that they fielded. You know for a fact that based on the voting trends, if you are an opposition party, there is a stronghold, a ZANU-PF stronghold. And if you put a female candidate there, you know they are likely to lose. It's not a mistake, it's deliberate. You know they are going to lose. The easiest seats, if you analyze the urban seats for Triple C, for instance, you will find that they are dominated by males. The reason being they are the easiest to win. If you look at the distribution of female candidates in ZANU-PF, you will find them in urban areas where they are likely to lose. So that is what patriarchy does. It responds to the pressure by bringing in the numbers, but those numbers are not to deal with the reality. You bring in the numbers, but you distribute them in a way that will still unfairly stack the odds against women. So that's the first thing that we need to address. Many female candidates out of the 70 that we are talking about, interesting, of course, also, is the fact that some of them are coming from what you would regard as smaller political parties. In terms of proportionately, it will be the UZA that has filtered the highest number of female candidates, compared with the largest political parties in the country, ZANU-PF and Triple C. And you see where the problem is when you do that analysis. So you're talking of 70 candidates. Most of these candidates are coming from smaller political parties that are unlikely to win. The parties that are likely to win Triple C and ZANU-PF proportionately have a lower representation of female candidates. So that is what patriarchy does. Also, if you go deeper, you will see in terms of the challenges that women are facing. My colleagues have already spoken to the issue that poverty is gendered. And the fact that it is gendered, it means that the overwhelming number of poor people in Zimbabwe are women and young people. And so if you fix such an exorbitant figure as nomination fees, you automatically disadvantage women. Automatically. It's an automatic thing in a gendered poverty environment. Secondly, if you look at the reason also why political parties will always have men more than women, is also in the nature of how the political parties themselves are structured. Their meetings are held during what we call gender insensitive times. Most of the political parties have their meetings around 5, 6, 7, 8 at night. Those are the times in which women, because of the patriarchal settings we have, are supposed to be at home, cooking for kids, cooking for the husband. And also because of the patriarchal setting of our society that does not allow women to work at night. Remember, if a political party calls a meeting for 5 or 6, it stands to reason that that meeting is likely going to dismiss at 10. And you can imagine umalukazana showing up at 10 atuvela emhlanganweni weparty. It might result in a very, very serious thing. Yes. So it's an element, Yonaliana, that requires to be addressed. Gender sensitivity when it comes to times that the political parties hold their meetings. We also need to deal with the issue of requiring beyond the financial resources that ZEC is charging, the money that ZEC is charging, we need to look at international best practices, how other countries are doing it. Even in the region, if you look at Zambia, if you look at Mozambique, for instance, they have a setting where the nomination fees are different for men and women, young people and people with disabilities. These are people that are serious about gender equality and making sure that there is maximum participation of women as candidates and as leaders. So what they will do is, for instance, if you had $1,000 for men, you say for women, probably is a third of that. For young people, even lower. For people with disabilities, even lower. In other words, it prevents the nomination fees being a reason for women not being candidates. But also in terms of international best practices, there is another way of addressing that. You may actually replace the nomination fees with a higher threshold for nominators. In other words, instead of saying 20,000, you say, if you don't have 20,000, whether you are a man or a woman, you replace the 20,000 with a higher figure of nominators at provincial level. The same for MPs, the same for council candidates. In other words, you are replacing money with popular support, because the whole idea is to say, we don't want people who come to and play with our electoral system, who will join in just for a joke. Money is not proof that one is over by corporate interests. Okay, UTM will have their candidates. But sponsor ayengena a parliament to go and advance their corporate interests. That is the danger where money becomes the thing. And we see that happening throughout the world. So this is likely to backfire very big on Zimbabwe, not just against women, but it will undermine the democratic system that we want to build. Organized crime and corporate interests taking over, the mafia out there, raising money for candidates, sponsoring them so that they advance their criminal ways. when they get into power. We also need to go beyond the proportional representation system that we have now by requiring, my two colleagues have already spoken to that, by legislatively requiring that political parties have a certain proportion of direct election candidates, women, in an election. Legislatively requiring that to be the case. If, for instance, you are a political party contesting in Bulawayo for the 12 seats that are up for grabs in Bulawayo, you are legislatively required to make sure that 6 out of 12 are women. Simple. 6 out of 12 are women. If there are no 6 out of 12 women, your papers are not taken by ZEC. We are demonstrating being serious there. Just compel political parties to make sure throughout, and you don't make it a national arrangement, you put it at a provincial level. You are going to assess every political party's commitment to gender equality at a provincial level. You are party A, you are bringing your papers. In this constituency is in Maswingo, you have 26 seats. ZEC will make it a point that out of 26 seats, 13 are contested by women. And if that is not the case, your papers are not in order. That is what serious people do. We need also to come up very strong against the cyberbullying that is taking place. We are very soft as a country. In most cases, the people get to be punished when you say something against people that will be in government. For instance, we have laws, very strong laws, many of them, that protect the office of the president. There are certain things you can't say against the office, but you don't find similar laws protecting women. We need to be very strong on that. To say cyberbullying, when it is directed against a woman, it is an aggravated bullying, and it will attract a very stiff penalty. That's very, very important. We also need, they've already spoken to the issue of creating truly safe and non-toxic spaces for women to participate. One way of doing that, as I have already indicated, is dealing with cyberbullying. But we also need to deal with the physical violence that is taking place out there. Intra-party physical violence, within political parties. Women are violated not by or only by the other party, but within the political party itself. If it is ZANU, within ZANU, if it is Triple C, within Triple C, first and foremost, before we even address the issue of physical violence being directed against women by other political parties. We need to also to make it a point that from a societal standpoint of view, from a household standpoint of view, we work towards gender equality. That has already been spoken quite strongly towards, and therefore I'm just speaking from an analytical standpoint of view. As we speak today, it would be impossible to achieve at public office what we have not achieved in our own households. It doesn't work like that. It starts with me empowering my daughters, and you empowering your daughters, and all of us doing that. And we need to not only focus on the political offices. Let's look at the number of CEOs in Zimbabwe. As I speak, it's less than 20% women, female CEOs. Leading, I mean, very serious big companies, not your CSO. Your engane uyabona kamfuna ukuwaqamba. So we tend to focus so much when it is politics. But we need to look at how many women are leading churches, how many women are leading CSOs, how many women are leading companies, how many women are leading this and so forth and so forth and so forth. How many women are all sorts of things. Some in more